UMAR AHMED, IFL TV MTK Global. I'm at the Intercontinental Hotel after all the antics at today's weigh-in. I'm joined by Dylan Whyte's brother. Firstly, I want to ask you, where's this baby thing come from?
The baby thing arrived from the last press, the last fight.
When the table got thrown?
When the table got thrown. So I was just saying to him, man, that's some baby thing. Like, you're a big man. You understand? You didn't need to throw the table. But hey, listen, I know everyone's gone on about that.
Your video, like every comment is just baby thing.
Yeah, I know. I think that's what the fans got me as, So it's all good. I respect them fans that, they tune in to listen to baby thing.
You are becoming sort of an IFL cult hero as well. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm getting some, good comments, and I appreciate and thank the fans. You know what I'm saying? It's good. You know what I mean? They're big supporters of my bro and myself, which is nice, and I appreciate that.
I think one of the ones I read was, "Who needs Spencer Fearon when we've got this man?"
I know, it's crazy. Spencer's the knowledge man. You know what I mean? I'm learning from him still as well. I'm learning on the job as well. That deal says. So yeah. It's good, and I appreciate those kind of comments. They mean a lot, you know what I mean? Because I try and be a student in the game and learn and understand, each fight and fighters and, what their strengths and weaknesses and so on. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, obviously I've got to ask you what happened at the weigh-in today. Firstly, on the stage, what was said between Dylan, Derek and yourself?
Well, everything was going smooth. They both weighed in there, a mean little stare down, and it was quite intense. It was there for a minute. And then obviously we didn't really notice what he had on his shorts because we weren't really, we couldn't see. And then I was just looking at him and I was like, oh, he's in good shape, good on him, whatever. And then he just started to abuse me kind of thing, you know what I mean? I just said, listen, mate, tone it down a notch, you know what I mean? You don't need to come for me. You're not fighting me, you're fighting my bro George. So just concentrate, save your energy for the fight. And he just kept cracking on, talking about he's nuts. No, he's nuts, bro.
Sucking his nuts?
Yeah, he said, yeah, someone nuts, asshole, fucking whatever. He was just saying some crazy shit anyway. But it was quite funny. And then Dill was just like, listen, don't send for my people, man. Don't send for my family, none of my people. Chill. And I was like, listen, I was just saying to him, it's not on. Just keep it calm. We'll sort this out another day. First, you've got Saturday to deal with, get that fight out of the way. And we can sit down and talk about this if you interested in nuts and all them silly stuff, you know what I mean? We can be gentlemen and talk this out and settle this, you know what I mean? So that's really what it was, you know what I mean? But it didn't really need to go there. That was another thing I said. I said, listen, you were doing so well. We virtually got through the weigh-in and there was no problems.
And yesterday's press conference,
nothing. You know what I mean? And I think it was a ploy of his to try and unsettle us. And because he couldn't get to Dylan wasn't responding to any of, like we saw at the press conference yesterday, he was saying stuff, and was just like, chill, listen, Saturday night, we're going to fight, and we'll just get out of the way. I don't need to hype this fight, I don't need to sell this fight. It's sold already. We're both going to go in there and do our stuff and move forward. So I think he just wanted a little bit of hype. I don't know, maybe he's a bit, got some insecurities going on himself, and he felt like he wanted to lash out, and, and he did. He ended up punching over his own bloody coach. What was all that about? I don't know what was going on. He sent him crashing into the bloody billboard at the back. Yeah. And so he might not even have a coach in his corner come tomorrow night. He's probably injured.
So it was all fine, as you said. There was words traded at the stage, but
yeah,
all the cameras were off, and then Derek runs by sort of around the corner, screaming at someone. I'm assuming that was at you.
Yeah. I don't know, he went round there, I went round there also. I went to confront him to say, listen, my friend, just relax. All this abuse is not on, and you'll be reprimanded. And that was it. I said that, the security jumped in the way, and then he just went ballistic, jumped on the table and started making it into a mountain. It was just a few choice words. It wasn't nothing. They got a fight. So it was just like a friendly word in his ear, just keep your nut down, keep your nose clean. You got to fight tomorrow. Focus on that. Keep your energy right. You've trained right. You look right. Save your energy, man. You're gonna need it. You know what I mean? You're gonna need it.
I got to say, the security did do a good job.
Yeah, they did a good job. But I think if they didn't run in so much, they wouldn't. They made it a bit more. I think just a tad bit more than it needed to be. If they just kind of calmly walked over, because that all the rushing and hustling and grabbing him, that made him therefore feel he needed to swing his arms and try and get off them, and made it a little bit more argy-bargy, if you get what I mean. Sometimes it does heighten and stuff. But listen, tensions are high right now. You know, it's a big fight. The magnitude of the fight. There's a lot on the line for both guys. So, you know, there's tensions, man. They're raring to go. Both of these guys in great shape also.
Yeah, you've mentioned what's on the line. I think the first fight was built as a rivalry, great domestic clash, which it still is. But compared to the first fight, what it does for the landscape in the heavyweight division is so much more important this time round.
Oh, well, I don't, you know, it's quite a weird one. Obviously, I hear what you're saying in terms of if you're looking at it from a perspective, Chisora, meaning was fighting Takam, was getting battered, pulled a punch out of the bag. Now he has a chance to redeem the loss with my bro deal. So now he's in the limelight, and he's on the verge of, he's trying to pull off an upset to gate crash the world title scene and be ranked highly because he wants Dill's position, and that's clearly what it is. You know what I mean? At the minute, Dill is at the top. He's right up there with all the rest of them. There's only a few guys, elite guys, right in the top who's got the belts or the lineal champions and so on that are just there. He's at the cusp of all of that. Those guys don't want to fight him. This guy is a guy that is tough, he's got grit, he's got determination, got a good chin, he's got a good boxing IQ. These guys don't, it's a risky fight unnecessarily. Like, that's why the WBC champion Deontay Wilder hasn't fought Dill, and he's going to keep him waiting as long as possible because he knows it's a hard fight unnecessarily. So now going back when we're talking, Chisora for me isn't in that elite class. I'm not taking anything away from him. I don't mean to discredit him. He's done a great job in boxing. And for his style, the come forward style, he's done good.
Do you think he's world class?
He's up there. I think he's just behind. You know, like there's a bracket, a tier of the top guys.
So who's in the top 10? You got obviously Joshua Wilder Fury, your brother, Povetkin.
You missed the Ortiz. You got Pulev. You got Dominic Brazil's up there. You got Baby Miller.
Takam.
Takam's up there. There's a lot of guys. I think even though he beat Takam, I think if Takam changed his game plan a little bit more, he'd beat Chisora because he was whooping his ass. And that's just me. But it's heavyweight boxing. One punch can change the dynamics of the game, and it did in that fight. So when you look at it, Chisora is a tough bruiser, and he'll give anyone virtually a run for their money. But there's guys like Agit Cabal that had his Agit, yeah. You know,
Joseph Parker, we didn't even mention.
Yeah, we did. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Joseph. He's an excellent fighter.
Caballero.
Caballero. You see him. He had the boxing style. He boxed rings around Chisora. He made him lose that will to fight because he couldn't. He wasn't there to be hit. So what happened was, he kind of lost that sense of urgency. He lost that sense of purpose. Just the same with Tyson Fury. He boxed the bloody pants off him. So in the end, he just kind of gave up and he came disillusioned in there. Do you know what I mean? He didn't have a plan B or C or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Some of these guys, those guys are good at moving for the full 12 rounds, popping that jab as Tyson Fury does, popping that jab, and Cabal did the same thing and was touching him up. But listen, we could talk about this all night. You know what I'm saying? He's a good fighter, and I think he's going to come and bring the heat, the fire, the pressure. What he's got, it's down to Dill to go in there and assert his game plan and be a dominant force with his jab and whatever he wants to use in that fight, because it is boxing after all. Chisora said, he's going to run for 12 rounds. Well, it's not running, it's actually using the ring as a boxer should. And he potentially might, like Mark said, box, fight. It's down to him. But he can win this any way he chooses to, as long as he's smart and assertive and keeps himself defensively sound.
From what I'm hearing then, Dylan dictates what goes on in the ring.
100%. Because he's the guy with the boxing ability, he's the guy with the IQ, he's the guy with the better jab. You know, he's the stronger guy, he's the younger guy, he's the more hungrier guy.
Do you think he'll get dragged into a war though?
It is possible. I don't believe he will, but it is possible. Chisora can do that to people. He's got, you know what I mean, he's that little Molin style walking forward and, you know, just pressing the action. And for 12 rounds for you to be moving and dealing with someone who's going to pressure you, you know, it's down to you to have that mental toughness to keep your shape and keep your discipline and do what you need to do. And don't make them change your plan, you know, and break your will. And I don't think he can, so, you know.
All right. Now, I know this won't be on Dylan's mind because his focus is 100% on tomorrow night, but has it run through your mind about April 13th, Joshua, all the talk sort of?
No,
not at all, even for you?
No. Saturday night is what we've got to get past, and we're going to do that. We've got to give it its due respect, you know what I mean? And he needs that. Like I said, you can see the shape he's in. David's helped him mentally and pushed him for him to be in probably the best shape I've ever seen him in. But he looks pretty small to me also. But he's in the best shape. He's pretty lean, and yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna, or none of the team, excuse me, are gonna pay attention to overlooking Derek Chisora, because the last fight was a hell of a fight and it was a hard fight. So when you have something like that, even though we know Dylan's come on leaps and bounds and he's got a lot more experience and he's way better conditioned and he's a better boxer now from 2 years ago, and his experience, we're not going to overlook him because you can see the effort he's put in. So you know he means business, and someone with that desire is not to be overlooked.
You mentioned Joshua, he will be there tomorrow ringside. Did you see his comments about your brother in America?
Which ones?
That he wants Chisora to whoop your brother, that he talks shit, Dylan Whyte.
Do you know what? It's one of those ones where these two tend to have maybe not a love or hate relationship, but you know, they're the two kind of, obviously Chisora, not Chisora, what's his face? Sorry.
Joshua.
No. Fury's kind of getting crashed out now. I was going to say those two was the two leading guys. Now that Fury's come into the past in terms of UK, I think obviously Dave, because of the last fight, he said many things. I think in an interview he said obviously Chisora was someone who he looked up to when he was coming up, and you know he was his idol. So obviously he's going to want his local teammate from the same club to win. So obviously he's going to back him. And then there's another one that said, I think he said something about for business purpose, he'd like maybe Dylan to win. I've seen a few different interviews, and then I think someone mentioned the one you're talking about. But listen, if you ask Dylan something about Joshua, I'm sure he'd have something not too pleasant to say. So listen, I don't expect those guys to say pleasantries and say anything too great, but what they do have is mutual respect for each other. You know what I mean? And they always say that. However, whatever they say, at the ending they say, we must respect each other because what one another's done and where they've ended up, if you get what I'm saying. They both need each other, they're right there, and without one another, you know what I mean? That big rivalry, which a lot of the British probably want to see.
Someone else at the O2, Big Baby Miller, tomorrow night. He's had a few things to say about Dylan Whyte as well. Obviously, Dylan said that if Big Baby Miller had said something about his mum, it would end differently. Obviously, Big Baby Miller said something about Joshua's mum. I spoke to Big Baby Miller the other day and he said to Whyte, we will see how it ends, and that he wants to break Dylan Whyte's face. What do you think about Big Baby Miller?
He's a big old lummox fella, man. He's a big old bruiser. He is huge. What is he, 300 or something pounds?
300 pounds.
You know I mean? Listen, he's making waves, he's making noise, he's doing the right thing, he's doing what he's meant to be.
Do you rate him though as a fighter?
I don't know. No, I don't really watch him. I've seen him fight. He looks a bit cumbersome, big old bruiser. There still is a lot to be desired with him in terms of actual boxing technique. But he's getting the job done. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? He seems to have a good engine for such a big guy. And listen, all you can count on is what he's doing. He's winning. He's continually grinding out the wins, however they come, wearing and grinding these guys down. He's a tough guy. He's right up there with a lot of these tough guys. But skill-wise, I don't see him as a great tactician. Him talking about these other stuff, it is a bit tricky when he comes here and says all that stuff. It could end not well for him if you come here.
Do you think it's too fast talking about people's mums?
Yeah, no, it is a bit, but it happens. Sometimes when you get into that space of mind, you do say things, but we'd kindly, sort him out in the best way possible for him. We don't want that because he can't, it wouldn't end well for him, just put it that way. We don't want no trouble. He's over there doing his, we're over here, we're in a separate path, but you just don't need to come over with no smoke. It's just not that party. And we're men. And we'll handle it as men how we see according. But he's right. I can't see Dill sitting there or anyone sitting there, him saying anything about anyone's mum. So, what you should do is concentrate on fighting and get himself into a mandatory position. And he is making noise. You can make noise, but you didn't need to mention Joshua's mum at all. So I hand a little bit. But listen, if Joshua said something, if Joshua said something to him and then he responded, then I could say. But he just started off the bat, I think, just kind of slating him or whatever. But listen, people are going to do and say what they want to do. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, it all goes down tomorrow night, only 5 minutes away from where we are.
Right around the corner.
You must be buzzing.
Listen, we're both buzzing. The coach is there also, if you give him a little shout out.
Panic, yeah.
He's the top coach there, that's the tactician. You know what I'm saying? But he's over there, he's been helping Dill sharpen up himself, you know what I mean? So, we've got him and Mark in the corner doing their bit. And
I bet Mark's revved up as well.
yeah, I think listen, the whole team is buzzing. We're just on edge a little bit in terms. Well, it's not nervous, but we're just on edge. We just want it to go down now. All the hard work has been done. You know what I mean? Dill has put in a lot of work over the years. You know, fighting regular, being active, and you only get better when you fight and be active. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a good place. You see, he's in good shape. You know what I mean? Chisora's in good shape. Listen, right now we want to go down. I want it to go down. I want Dill to go out there and put on a boxing clinical. And when he needs to fight, he'll fight. And when he wants to box and move and use his jab and touch him up and do what he wants to do and snatch that body as the body snatcher, he will do that. You know what I mean? I want him to go and show the rest of the world, like he said, there's levels. And on Saturday night, he should go out there and prove that. And not go out there and fight Chisora's fight. You can easily be drawn into that, but I don't want him to be. I want him to show that he's matured and he's a boxer, and you don't got to sit there and trade in with some buffoon because he says so. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Tomorrow night, the guys need to tune in, log in, man, because it's going down.
Sky Box Office. One more thing actually has popped into my mind. Have you seen this voodoo stuff that Johnny Nelson's been talking about?
I don't know what Johnny Nelson's talking about, you know. Hey, did you catch the voodoo thing?
No, I didn't catch the first part of it. I saw some stuff I heard what Chisora had to say about it, but I didn't catch the actual the original instance. No, so I don't.
Basically, after the Gloves Are Off was filmed, Johnny Nelson said that Dillian Whyte said something to Chisora in a different tongue, and it was voodoo, but Spencer Fearon said it was in Zimbabwean. That was it.
Yeah, I think I did hear Dill on the stage mention yesterday, don't you know your native tongue? So that would suggest that obviously he learnt a word and he said a native tongue word to him. I didn't hear it. I didn't really pay attention. Maybe they cut it out. I don't know. But listen, it means nothing. He's still there. He's fighting. He ain't got bloody 3 fucking legs. And you know, what did it do to him? Why is he concerned with that? Come on, man. Like, concentrate, my friend, man. So I don't know that voodoo stuff.
What it was bollocks apparently, anyways.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, I didn't hear it, so I can't comment on what that was. But I just think he just needs to not waste his time and just worry